Hello dear students. In previous lecture we discussed about your we have started the chapter or topic, that is collection and representation of the data, and in that in previous lecture we discussed about the definition of classification. Then we discussed about the need of classification, why it is needed, why there is a necessity of the classification, and what is exactly the classification is. Then we discussed about different benefits of the classification. Then we learned objectives of the classification, why the classification is necessary. Now in today's lecture we will discuss some terms which are used in the classification. In classification, if we see, there are different terms which can be used. For example, first thing that we are going to study is class limit. Okay, but before knowing these terms, we should see this table. Okay, there are two values which are given here. First one here, it is given marks out of 50 that students have got, and in second column there is a number of students. So basically this table is all about the marks which the students got in their examination, so called examination. So here the data given is in the continuous series. If you see the data given is in the continuous series. If we see, first is 0 to 10. Okay, 0 to 10 means these are, if the student got the marks within this range, then they are placed here. How many students are there who got 0 to 10 marks? There are 5 students, like that. If the student got 10 to 20, how many students got 10 to 20 marks, or between 10 to 20 means 11, 12, 13, 14, like that. There are around 15 students who got that marks in this range. Again, 9 students got the marks in the range of 20 to 30. Then 7 students got the range. 7 students got the marks in the range 30 to 40, and 4 students got the range. 4 students got the marks in the range 40 to 50. So first thing that we learn here is what? The class limit. First thing is what? Class limit. So what is class limit? So basically this thing 0 to 10, that whole thing is called as a class. Okay, or this 10 to 20, it is a class. 10 to 20, it is a class. Similarly 20 to 30, it is a class, and likewise. Okay, so the class is formed by the two values. Class is formed by two values. So that values are called as class limit. That values are known as class limit. Okay, so the lower value or the first value is known as lower limit. First value is known as lower limit, and the upper value is known as upper limit. Upper value is known as upper limit. So we will take example. I have given here the examples too, so that it will become easier to you. So here that marks out of 50 is a variable. Actually it is variable, which is sometimes denoted by x, but here variable is in continuous series, and the number of student is nothing but their frequency. F stands for frequency. Now this 0 to 10 is one class, and or class interval, it is called as class interval. So this class interval is formed by two values, first value and second value. If you see, the first value here is 0 and second is 10, or lower value is 0 and higher upper value is 10. So that lower value is called as lower limit, which is denoted by I1. I1, and upper value is noted, upper value is called as I2. Upper value is called as I2. So in this case 0 is lower limit of this class interval and 10 is upper limit of this class interval. Similar the case if we see 10 to 20, this class interval, in this lower limit becomes 10 and upper limit becomes 20. Here lower limit becomes 20, upper limit becomes 30, like this. So these are called as class limits. Second terminology that we will see is the magnitude of class interval. What is that? Magnitude of class interval. So what is the magnitude of class interval? Magnitude of class interval is, it is the difference, see the word is difference between upper and lower limit of the class is called as magnitude of the class interval. So the difference between upper and lower limit of the class is called as magnitude of the class interval, which is denoted by I or C, and this I or C is nothing but I2. I2 means what? Upper limit. I2 minus I1. So I2 minus I1 is nothing but the magnitude of the class interval. Okay. So this is about the second terminology, that is magnitude of the class interval. Third is mid value of the class mark. Mid value of the, these terms are very much important while learning these tables. Okay. So third one is what? It is the mid value of the class mark. So what is mid value of the class mark? It is nothing but arithmetic average. Arithmetic average of what? Arithmetic average of two class limits. We learned two class limits, lower limit and second is what? Upper limit. So if we take the average of these two limits, lower limit as well as upper limit, okay, it becomes what? It becomes the mid value of the class mark. For example, we will take this one, 10 to 20. So here lower limit is what? Lower limit is 10 plus upper limit is what? Upper limit is 20. Upper limit is 20. Okay, and its average means divided by 2. It becomes 10 plus 2, 30. 30 by 2 means what? It becomes 15. 15. So that 15 becomes the, it becomes what? It becomes the mid value of the class mark. Okay, it becomes the mid value of the class mark. Last terminology, that is nothing but the class frequency. Now here I have written here F. F is nothing but the frequency of that particular class. So the class 0 to 10 is having frequency 5, 10 to 20 is having frequency 15, 20 to 30 is having frequency 9. Okay, like this. So what is class frequency? This is the nothing but, or it can be defined as the total number of units belonging to the particular group or a class. Total number of units belonging to particular group or class. So here if we see this group or class, how many units belongs to this class? 20 to 30, 9. So that 9 becomes the class frequency. It becomes the class frequency. So I hope you have understood all these terminologies or terms which are used in the classification. Then we'll move forward. We'll learn about overlapping and non-overlapping frequency table. Okay, so I will change the color of the marker. Here we'll take yellow color. I hope this is quite visible. Yes. Okay, so there are two different types of frequency table. I have again copied that table, or I have taken another example here. So here this is what number of plots in a class interval. Okay, so it becomes your variable in a continuous series, because 16 to 18, 18 to 20, it is a continuous series. Okay, and number of pods in a class interval 16 to 18. The number of pods 16 to 18. The plants which are having 16 to 18 number of pods are 4 in number, so their frequency become 4. Then 18 to 20 pods, the plants which are having 18 to 20 pods, they are having 5 in number. Okay, so this and so on. So here what our purpose is to study the two different types of frequency table. First one is the overlapping type of frequency table. So what is overlapping type of frequency table? In this table, see, upper limit of one class interval. See, it is very important. Upper limit of one class important is represented in the next class interval. And I would like to add here one sentence. Upper limit of one class interval is represented in a next class interval as a lower limit. So this is important here. This is important. Sorry, because of the mouse marker I couldn't get fluency in that. So lower limit. Okay, if we see, upper limit of one class interval is represented in the next class interval as a lower limit. We'll take this example by which you can easily learn. So if we see, we have learned the terminology in earlier slide. So this 16 to 18 is one class interval. Okay, so here this 16, I will take another color. So we'll take this one. So this 16 is what your lower limit. Okay, and this 18 is what your upper limit. This is lower limit, this is upper limit. If you observe here, this is a class interval. Okay, 16 to 18 is a class interval where 16 is the lower limit of class interval and 18 is the upper limit of the class interval. Okay, so here if we see this 18, which is the upper limit of the class interval, is represented in a next class interval. If we see here, it is represented here, but as a lower limit. Okay, so upper limit of one class interval becomes the lower limit of the next class interval. If such condition is there or such table is given, then such type of table is called as overlapping frequency table. Understood? I hope you have understood all these things. So we'll move forward. Second is what? Non-overlapping frequency table. So here if we see the non-overlapping frequency table, then in this case, if we see in this table, exactly opposite case is there. Upper level of one class interval does not, this word is important, does not overlap the preceding class interval. So here in earlier we see 16, 18 and here it is again started from 18. But here if we see 14 to 16. Okay, 14 to 16. But here second class interval starts from the 17, and if you observe this, this 16 and 17, the two terms are what? These are different. Okay, so here the upper limit of one class interval does not represented in the lower limit as a lower limit of next class interval. Okay, so this represents our non-overlapping type of frequency table. So I hope you have understood the different topics, different terminologies which are used in the classification system. We learned about the class interval, okay, the class limit, then magnitude of the class interval, then mid value or class mark of the class interval, then class frequency. Then we discussed about two different types of frequency table, that is overlapping type of frequency table and non-overlapping type of frequency table. So in this way we learnt a lot of terminologies here. So we'll stop here and we will learn the forms of different representation type in next lecture. So thank you for your patient listening. I hope you have understood, and if you have any query, you can anytime contact me. I will provide you the contact number. Okay, thank you very much.